Hey all, welcome to week 6. So for this new unit, we'll be encountering Mr. James Baldwin and his book, The Fire Next Time. So let's go ahead and click on the intro. We'll go through a couple things. So this week, we'll start our second unit focusing on James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time. So if you don't know anything about James Baldwin, he is this American essayist, playwright, novelist, poet, and he essentially is one of the primary voices of the American Civil Rights Movement that uh, has had a little bit of a renaissance in recent times. So there's a lot of thinkers, actors, writers, directors that attribute a lot of their thinking and ideas to James Baldwin. So certainly important during the Civil Rights Movement, but also really important right now. So we're going to be examining his book, The Fire Next Time, and looking at his particular ideas that he purports in it. So, and obviously it's a super thin book, but as I say here, it's widely regarded as one of the most influential books on race, and like I've said before, has impacted a ton of people, a generation of thinkers, writers, activists. And just as a little disclaimer here, I understand, even when we look at the title of what we're discussing this week, which is the name of the documentary that uses some of Baldwin's work, I Am Not Your Negro, I realize that going through this particular topic is going to be uncomfortable and for some, and I respect that. I really do. I acknowledge that, but I do think it's very important that we understand the breadth of the American experience and look at different types of authors, different types of thinkers, even ideas and thinkers that we haven't encountered, even ideas and thinkers that we might disagree with. But I think it's very important that we strive to understand all different walks of American life. So, and if you encounter an idea in here that makes you squirm a little bit, that has you kind of reeling, that's okay. You're in the perfect spot for that. If you can't think through these ideas critically and can't encounter ideas that you disagree with in college, where in the world is a safe place to do that? So don't freak out. Don't freak out if you encounter something in here that makes you feel uncomfortable. Just sit with it, examine why it is that you feel uncomfortable. That's what it is. Okay, so now for your text this week, the book is broken up into two kind of separate essays. The first one is extremely short, and you're going to read that extremely short essay, and then you're going to watch an award-winning documentary called I Am Not Your Negro. And what that documentary film is doing is unpacking Baldwin's worldview. And essentially what happened was the director was using different elements of an unpublished work of Baldwin's and made it into this kind of documentary visual thing. It's really cool. So, and that'll give you way more context for who James Baldwin is, and your written response is essentially going to be over that documentary. So here are the ebooks here. There's a PDF and an ebook version there. It's an EPUB, so that works for iBooks or the Nook app. So that's there. Now there is the link to the film. If you click on that link, you're going to need to sign in with your TCC account because that's going to take you to a particular database that is airing the film because otherwise I couldn't show it to you for free legally. So there it is. Okay, now if you look at your assignment, after watching I'm Not Your Negro, think through the following questions to get your juices flowing for your response. How did you first react to the film upon watching it? I'm Not Your Negro is an unapologetic and direct title. How did you react when you first heard the film's title? Why? What was your greatest takeaway from the film? Then compose a response that answers the following question. What argument does the film make? How does the story help us understand America and what it means to be American? And consider your own identity, culture, beliefs, background, and respond to the story in comparing archival footage from the 1950s and 1960s with footage of police violence shot in contemporary times with the film's release some 60 years later. The director, Raoul Peck, seems to argue that the quality of life for most African Americans has not increased much since the dawn of the Civil Rights Movement. How do you feel about this? And once again, you can agree or disagree. I also think it's important to understand that we're dealing with people's experiences here. And in particular discussions of race, we have to take that into account, right? So I, as a white man, do not understand or nor have I experienced these types of things that a black man is conveying through his experience when we read Baldwin. And that's important to understand, right? So we can strive our best to be empathetic, but I will never know what that experience is like. And we have to make sure that that is at the forefront of our minds, right? So if we have a particular set of biases, expectations, experiences, and identities that we're bringing into a particular situation, you cannot leave those behind, right? You cannot leave those behind. So take all that into account. And as always, you can message me or contact me if you have questions, concerns, hopes, dreams, aspirations. I hope you all have a delightful week.